Good morning, we are in Moab, Utah, reviewing the brand new 2022 Santa Cruz Chameleon. At the time of filming, it's pre-release date, so we have the Chameleon logos taped up. I have to keep this bike under wraps, but you guys know what it is by now. Several years ago, I reviewed the previous generation Chameleon on this same exact trail, Captain Ahab, and I thought it only fitting that today we come back on the same exact trail with the new version of this bike. If you haven't already seen the first look video where I go over the geometry and the specs and what makes this bike different, go watch that first because this video will make a lot more sense. I'm riding with some of my favorite buddies from the Sedona area. Awesome to have them all with me. They're gonna help me film this video. I've been at Outer Bike in Moab the last week riding a whole bunch of full suspensions, demoing them, and nothing climbs like a hardtail. While this trail is super fun on a 160, 170 enduro bike, it's also fun on a hardtail. You just have to go slower. I know this isn't the case, but it seems like Santa Cruz watched my last review video and gave me everything I wanted. We've got a longer reach, 445 mil reach. We got a 65-degree head angle. That's right in the sweet spot. We kept it 130 mil. It's now only available in aluminum. There will be no carbon models. We still have sliding dropouts. Pretty awesome. Let's see if it rides like I'd hoped. I also really like that this bike can still fit plus tires. Even though plus tires aren't in vogue right now, they're not very popular, I love them on a hardtail. So one thing I'm missing on this bike is a high engagement hub. Most stock bikes have poor engaging hubs, but I wish this came with like a DT350 so I could swap out the star ratchet. If this were my bike, I would buy a new hub and lace it on the back. I just like half ratcheting in this technical stuff, and it's really hard with this hub. Once you get used to a high engagement hub, it's really hard to ride anything else. This bike's a comfortable climber. The head angle is noticeably slacker than the last one, and the seat angle is noticeably steeper. That means XC, bike packing, flatter stuff's gonna feel a little bit floppier, the steering on this model. So MX bikes, or mixed wheels, or mullets, I find a little bit harder in steppy stuff like this to keep momentum on the back wheel up stuff. It's only like 3/4 of an inch smaller radius. It is noticeable though. You get a little more hung up in stuff than full 29ers. All right, little downhill. I was worried this frame would be stiffer than the old one. If it is, it's only slightly stiffer. Oh man, it's fun. This bike is so playful. The stack is so tall. I love it. First time I got on it, I was like, holy cow. I almost feel like I'm on a pogo stick. That front end is so tall. I love it. There's Moby Dick Rock. Looks like the big whale from Moby Dick. Pretty cool. I have much more confidence on this thing than I do on the old one. Yeah. This bike's a comfortable climber. I like the riding position. Tall stack, not super long reach. Steeper seat tube puts me in a comfortable spot to ride all day sitting up. It's not quite as comfortable for all day like bike packing rides as the older one. That had a shorter reach, but it also had a slacker seat tube angle. But you just felt a little more centered in the bike. This one you feel a little more over the front. We're gonna reveal this. I'm tired of leaving it covered up on this video. Woo, new font. Pretty cool. This bike is a fantastic climber. I feel like this is the perfect trail for it. Punchy, steep, ledgy, technical climbs. Man, it excels on this stuff. And despite the 425 mil chainstay being 10 mil longer than last year's, it still feels short in the back in a good way. I feel like the frame does not beat me up for an aluminum frame. Kind of feels like the Wragly Big Al. Still a great all-rounder trail bike though. It lost some of its zippiness on flat trails, but it's gained confidence in the chunk and steep stuff. And for where I ride, that's a compromise that's totally worth it. But for some people, I think the old model is going to be the better fit still. So it is different from the old Chameleon. It's less of an all-day spinny bike packing bike. I wish I had an old Chameleon still for that use and for like Northern California and for flatter, flowier trails. But for where I live, this new version is the better choice. You do feel on a mullet or mixed wheel bike, the smaller rear wheel doesn't roll through abrupt changes quite as easily as a 29er, but it does have its benefits when you're doing technical stuff and you want to be able to move around. You got a little bit more room back there. And I like the way that they fall and initiate into corners a little better. Now we're at the top of Captain Ahab. Let's go take it down some spicy double black diamond stuff to see how it does. Woo! Excellent. Nice work, Grayson. Here's our gatekeeper entrance move. Yeah, no problem. Super smooth, even with the 130 fork. All right, let's have some fun. Woo! This is such a good trail. Once you're on this, it's easy. It's just scary getting across that. Beautiful. This is one of the hardest climbs, and it might be hard on a mullet. Let's see. Nope, we got it. It wasn't graceful, but we got it. Oh man, this bike is awesome. I love being able to manual when I need to. I love this little bike. It doesn't feel as smooth as that steel Stanton Sherpa I have, or even the Switch 9er, but it feels good. Yeah. Man, this thing is awesome. So good. This thing corners so well with the mullet setup. Oh man, what a play bike. But it's still fast on this stuff. Fast for me. This bike seems equally happy whether I'm riding off the back of it, manualing off of everything, or over the front, punching through all the chunk. Components feel great except for that rear hub. That's the only thing I'd upgrade at the moment. This dropper lever's in a weird position and I can't adjust it. I wish it could swing forward a little more. But man, what an experience. This bike is so fun. I feel like I can charge on this trail harder than normal. I should probably have Cushcore in here. Probably pushing my luck. Darn. I think I need one gear harder. My pedals are just in the wrong place when I get there. All right, I can do that. I love puzzling and picking new lines. Hit my dropper halfway through. Man, that was ugly. That's one of those moves where I think a plus tire or a 29er makes it a lot easier for me. It wasn't pretty, but we got it. This bike is incredible what 130 can do with good geometry. I think I'm having even more fun on this than last time I was here on a Chameleon. This bike is so good. You cannot just plow through chunk mindlessly like a 150 Enduro full suspension. But if you pick your lines well and you're a good, smooth rider who's light on their feet, man, you can have a blast even on some of the chunkiest trails around like this. I love this bike. I really want to experiment with the 29er to see what it feels like. I'm liking the mullet for this trail. I just have some great maneuverability on it, especially the way it corners and manuals. I feel like for longer days and more XC stuff, I think the 29er is going to be more my jive, but we'll see. Man, this bike's special. It took some getting used to when I rode it. It doesn't feel like other bikes. It feels significantly different in the geo and riding position. What a bike. I do feel that littler rear wheel falling into holes a little bit more. This fork is incredible. It is so smooth. I've not bottomed it out once. I really get along well with this older damper. I like it. Simple damper works really well for me. Bike corners so well, just easy to manhandle. Oh, so good. That one was scary. One day I'm gonna hit that roll, but not today. Man, what a bike. Whew! I try not to ride hardtails like plow bikes, but that did surprisingly well. My arms are noodles. I am beat. All right, we're right back where we started to wrap this thing up. What a bike. I had an absolute blast on this thing. It's super fun. I feel like I could take this on any trail now and just enjoy the heck out of it. I don't think it's as fun on green trails as the last model, but that suits me well because I don't have any green trails where I live. But if you live in Northern California or Pennsylvania or East Coast where there's roots and flow and you're not like smashing brick size rocks or cinder block size rocks, you might like the old one a little bit better. I totally forgot to flip the chainstays in the long position, so I'm gonna have to save that for another video another day. I'm gonna get experimental. I'm gonna get a set of 29er dropouts, try it with 29. So make sure you're subscribed to this so you don't miss that. Also, if you need help deciding which bike to buy, I offer a bike consultation service over on Patreon. We work together and chat about what your needs are, what bike you've got, what you like, what you don't like about it, what you're looking for in your next one, what your budget is, what your trails are like, what you want a bike optimized for, and we work together. If you're interested in picking my brain about components or bikes or how different things ride, patreon.com/hardtailparties where you can find it, and I'll be able to make personalized recommendations for you so you can save thousands of dollars from buying the wrong bike. So many people have told me, I wished I'd used your bike service before I bought this bike that was a great deal, but the wrong bike for me. So I love helping people over there, and that's how I support this channel. All right, let's wrap it up on this bike. Climbing, 9 out of 10. The mullet just fell in a little bit of holes and didn't quite keep its momentum through, but I eventually got up everything. Some things took a few more tries than on my full 29ers, but we are willing to sacrifice a little bit of that climbing for the descending. Descending, I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10. It was fantastic. And I do like the mixed wheel size. I felt like it would whip around stuff a little bit better. A lot of people don't feel that on the mullets, but I sure do. Cornering, I'm gonna give this bike a 10 out of 10. I love the way it corners. It was easy to lean over and kind of flop onto the cornering rails. There was just something about it that really clicked with me, with where your body is balanced in between the front and the rear. I think the mullet setup worked really well for that trail. The compliance was good, especially for an aluminum frame. I feel like it's softer than a lot of the Chromag steels that I've ridden, but not nearly as soft as those Stantons that I've ridden. Playfulness, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. This thing loves to manual, it loves to wheelie. I have really good slow speed balance. Trials moves feel really good on it. And this thing has special sauce in spades. It's just that little extra something that makes a bike special, that makes it exciting and fun to ride, that I can't pinpoint down to why, but this bike's got it, and I have a blast on this thing. This would be a great all-rounder for so many different riders. Overall, this bike maximizes fun while still being extremely capable without being an overbuilt, overforked enduro smash bike. It's a great balance of fun, playfulness, especially for modern riders who like to get a little rowdy, who have a more modern riding position, but it's not so modern that older riders aren't gonna adapt well to it. So I'm so glad to see this bike updated. The old one still has a soft spot in my heart, and I wish I actually still had one for bike packing, longer days, mellow trails. This gives up a little bit on the mellower, flatter stuff. If you like steering with the bars more than leaning, you'll actually like the old one more. But as trails get faster and built a little bit better, and as our skills get better to adapt to these more modern bikes with slacker head angles, longer reach, steeper seat angles, man, this bike is so much fun. I feel like some of the bikes that I ride are just on the bleeding edge of aggressive, and most people don't have the technique to ride them. This is not one of those bikes. This bike will encourage you to push it a little bit, and it'll keep up and it'll handle it, but it doesn't require a drastic change in your riding style if you're not used to the super long, super aggressive bikes. I'm super thrilled with Santa Cruz for keeping this in the line and modernizing the Chameleon. It was due for a refresh, and it sounds like they did everything I wanted them to do, except the internal cable routing, and I wish it had a better hub. And if those are the only two things I can nitpick, that's saying something. Thanks for watching, everybody. There's a party in the mountains, and you're invited.